Welcome to Kinky Knots Cafe's Proactive is the Way. Proactive is the Way is a podcast brought to you by two sisters who dove into the health and wellness industry, one planned and the other by fate. We have joined forces to bring to you authentic conversations about our personal experiences as it relates to managing our health, working within the industry, and taking our combined knowledge to share with you some golden nuggets that you can take with you to live the best version of you. Over the next year, we will host 2 episodes a month. Each month, we will focus on a topic that is designed to increase an awareness of tools and resources to enhance an aspect of your mind, body, and spirit. Our topic this month: Get Out Your Own Damn Way, where we will feature the book, The Mountain Is You by Brianna Wiest. So during our last couple of episodes, we focused on habits, the good and the bad, and steps we could take to create more good habits and eliminate the bad ones. As we were learning about these habits, we continually kept reverting back to the bad ones. It was at this point a thought came to mind that made me want to better understand the why behind our bad habits, our behaviors. Why do we create them, and how do we get ahead to ensure that we don't permit them to surface? I truly believe that before we can start to implement a system for how to create good or eliminate bad habits, it's so important to better understand the source that got us to this point in the first place. And understanding the why and being more proactive in not developing a bad habit or behavior, we will be able to ensure that we can spend more time and energy on strengthening and enhancing within our self-improvement versus constantly being in correction mode. In turn, creating an atmosphere whereby we are progressing at an exponential rate in our own personal growth and development. So, Tiff, today our topic is about self-sabotage. What in the heck does this mean?
Well, I think that self-sabotage means in the it's the opportunities that you don't take the time to identify. And this is the opportunities of things like to let things go, to make things happen, to make things better. I know you said about, when we did our talks before about, so we're not always having to be in a self-correction mode. But when you think about it, that's what we are, because we're imperfect. We're impermanent. We're always going to be, and I don't think we can avoid that. So self-sabotage is not doing those things that we know would be for our own greater good or for the greater good that surrounds us.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What does it mean? What does it mean for you?
Yeah. Well, I think the title of this show is what first hit me, which is why I went ahead and labeled it as such. Essentially, we just tend to get in our own way.
Mm-hmm.
From my perspective, I feel like we take action on particular issues that prevents us from actually resolving the issue and being able to move forward.
Mm-hmm.
I think it is something that occurs in our subconscious,
Mm-hmm.
and we are not fully aware that we are doing it. And
Right.
oftentimes, we think that we're taking the right steps to resolve the issue or to find some sort of resolution. But in actuality, we have become so disconnected within our mind and the realities that exist, we end up doing more harm than good.
Mm-hmm. But you used a very important word. You mentioned aware.
Right, right.
And so awareness is attached to what? Presence,
mm-hmm,
the
mm-hmm,
now, you know.
mm-hmm.
So when you're subconsciously operating, when you're subconsciously processing, you're not aware. And especially when things become a habit.
Right. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah.
So talk to me a little bit about have you ever had a moment, within your own life where you experienced self-sabotage, where you were like, man, I'm sabotaging my own progress.
Wow. Yeah. Um, there were two key moments in my life that I felt like you know, I self sabotaged, and it was really in response, I think, to um, what I call like a traumatic betrayal,
Hmm.
where you trust someone so much and you put your trust in them, and then they betray that trust. Um, and your response, right? No, I'm sorry. Let me back up that because that's not a response. Your reactive self um, then formulates all of these illusions and these falsehoods in your mind because we're imaginative, right? Our minds, imagine things. We think we can see things. We believe that we're clairvoyant. We believe we have these predictions that a lot of times are false.
Mm-hmm.
And as a result of having those non-evidence based things or ideals, it results in self-sabotage. So one instance was like with my child's father and I.
Mm-hmm.
I was willing to pretty much it embarrassed us both.
Mm-hmm.
And I won't go into detail like of what all happened, but I but that was self-sabotaging because I really could have, like gotten myself in a lot of trouble, trying to prove a point, prove
Mm-hmm.
a point that really doesn't even exist. I think I think in a way, some of us, and there are all different levels of it, we are so consumed with ourselves that when traumatic things happen to us, um, we inflate, we cause a more inflammatory consequence, or we create that. In the consequence that happens becomes more inflammatory than it should be because of our let's just say reactiveness, our um, our unaware reaction.
Now, in your particular instance, though, with your response, how exactly did that play into other relationships, or how do you believe that was self-sabotage? Did it
It played into other relationships and to other people's perception,
Mhm.
right? So it basically gave ammunition to something that really just honestly didn't exist for me, or the type of person, the core the core person that I am. So I think that self-sabotage, what it ends up disrupting is the core. Like it has the potential to disrupt the core of who you are. Like, say, for example, I am like, just ordinarily, I am focused, disciplined, reliable, have integrity, super honest. And then you do something, or you react to something, and it is not parallel to the person that you really are, then people who witness it or observe it, they develop this opinion or this perception of you. And that could, disrupt all those things that, people, it can disrupt the real person that you are. Does that make sense?
Well, so you started behaving in a different manner than what you were accustomed, or what others were accustomed to experiencing with you.
Right.
So as a result, they started to have a viewpoint that may have been negative about
Right.
who you are
Who I
and
really am. Yeah.
who you really are, versus
Uh-huh.
understanding that you were that particular person at a point in time. Now, all of a sudden, you are being categorized as a person who has always been that way, versus it was just a point in time, an issue that occurred in your life that made you behave in that manner, right?
Right. Exactly.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, and
Did
that was, to me, that was self-sabotage.
mm-hmm,
Self-sabotage to me also is being around people or hanging around people that don't fit your morals and values.
mm-hmm,
So, for example, let's just use like kids in high school.
mm-hmm,
And of course, um, all things don't speak to everything, but like kids in high school who, yeah, they're trying to find their way. And I believe everybody all day, every day is still trying to find their way.
mm-hmm,
Um, there are there is a low percentage of people who know their way. So if you look at high school students and they're trying to find their way, what they will do is they will associate. Like, I don't know if you observed this in high school. Well, you probably didn't because it was private, but not so much. But I know, like, when I went to public school, like, you have like super intelligent people associating with and I don't want to say non-intelligent because everybody has different levels of intelligence, right? But they were of, let's just say, lower intelligence.
mm-hmm.
And when you do that, that is kind of self-sabotage if you really think about it, like association, because those people have the potential to cause difficulties and challenges that you don't necessarily have to experience. So, and that is because, and I don't know what law it is or what science principle it is, but it's much easier to pull someone down to where you are than for you to lift someone up where you are, if that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So self-sabotage.
They tend to want to be around comfortability, and I think it depends on someone's background with regards to their securities or insecurities,
And I
right?
would say it's insecurity.
Yeah, it would be
Right.
insecurities because you're associating with a population that is not at your level or above. Equally yoked is what they call it, right? um and you prefer, which is something, if you think about like Donald Trump, what he appeals to, right?
Uh-huh.
He tries to appeal, I think, to like a lower class population because of his own insecurities to be able to move. People love intelligence. It's easier to influence individuals who possess a lower intelligence than it is to to influence individuals who have at your level or higher.
And I want you to know that we just called his whole base unintelligent with that remark
No, not
of lower intelligence.
well, his base
And I
allows
don't care.
for individuals who struggle or who are looking for, I call them the great white hope, someone who's going to come and lift them up. And it's a reality. I mean, if you look at
The great white hope.
yeah, the great white hope, that is going to help uplift them. And there's nothing, there's nothing wrong with that. But I feel like sometimes he moves in that direction, because he's insecure within himself. Um,
I would say the great pumpkin, like Charlie Brown's great pumpkin. I don't know about it. Let's just call things for what they are.
I just want, yeah, I just want to be transparent here with a thought that popped in my head as you were sharing that. The other thing that I wanted to tap on or touch on with what you stated was something about the clairvoyant, using our clairvoyance and using our abilities. And when we talk about Brianna Wiest's book, she mentions a great deal about how we have to be careful with using those, I'll call them supernatural gifts, right, in order to help us effectively navigate respective issues. But I feel like when you hit on that, I just wanted to address something so important, is that people do have these abilities to use their intuition, to use this level of cognition that they possess in order to make decisions.
People do have that.
And they
People
have,
do have that, but I'm not talking about that kind. I'm not talking about that kind of prediction or that kind of clairvoyance or intuition.
mhm,
That's separate. I'm talking about people who use it, and they use it in a way to confirm things for themselves, which then comes confirmation bias, right? They
right.
use it to inform themselves so that it fits their narrative. It
Okay.
fits something that is going to make things more positive for them,
Okay.
or more believable for them so that they can continue what they're doing, whether it's right or wrong.
Okay, exactly. And so that's where I wanted you to clarify, because I don't want folks to get the idea that those gifts are not valid. And I like kept saying when I was reading the book was, I want to make sure that we're very clear that those gifts are very valid and they can be very, very helpful,
And
but
they can.
how to use them appropriately.
Right.
I think that within her book, she does help to guide us to have a better understanding of how to use them more effectively.
And think about it. So, and yeah, to clarify even more, I'm talking about the predictions you make based off of what your gut told you, right? Because the part of the mind, there is a part of the brain that connects directly to the gut,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Mm-hmm.
So when things happen or you're very sure,
Mm-hmm.
like I was very sure in, what was that, 2012, I was very sure I was being discriminated against in a community, in a apartment community there in Centerville.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I mean, the gut feeling was so strong. I called Fair Housing.
Mm-hmm.
Fair Housing sent their shoppers in. And sure enough, they were denying people of color's applications
Mm-hmm.
more than even if they were credit worthy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so it resulted in this huge, basically what could have been a lawsuit, but fair housing trying to be fair only required them to pay me and publish on their website that they are fair housing, that they're equal opportunity
Mm-hmm.
housing.
Mm-hmm.
But I had a gut feeling about that. So no, I don't think you should override your gut or override real intuition, but I do believe that most people create things in their mind to fit a narrative
Sure.
um, because they want to confirm for themselves that that is what's true, and a lot of times it's not.
Mm-hmm. Right, right. Okay. Yeah. Thanks for clarifying that. So I'll share my thoughts, with regards to it within my life, where I have experienced self-sabotage. I went through a period within my life where I received a supernatural guide. And in a matter of months, I became very well versed in the Torah. And all I wanted to do every morning is to get up, to pray, and write every morning, like clockwork. I wrote prayers, and if you look at my Facebook account, you will see the difference in my disposition from the moment prior to this supernatural guide, and then after. Okay. So if you check out my Facebook account, you can go to Toya Bryant. I actually keep it open because I want individuals to be able to see, the difference between my behavior during this time. Um, and you know, p- until the moment, this particular existence of this being was tapered so that I could function normally. It was also during this time that, the church I attended and the people within my work environment started to behave bizarrely. Um, I recall, being invited to meet with a senior pastor and discussing the interactions with my spirit. When I would volunteer at the church, they always placed me with babies, which I believe was a part of an eradication of this supernatural being that they felt needed to occur. In the same instance, at my job, every time I would enter a meeting, people kept saying 13 or 666. And their energy would become very disengaging. It became the most uncomfortable environment. In addition, there was, other issues that occurred. My technological access was disabled. I would have meeting rooms reserved, and there were always people who were in my room at the time of my meetings. They overrode my calendar and would always make me have to search for new space.
I remember you telling me that.
Yeah, and something told me to use the president's conference rooms on his floor, and in that, for me, grace was provided. So I shared a couple episodes ago, this is the job where I finally got severed from. I was telling you this job sucked the life out of me. I was blay, right? Is what the terms I use. And after that experience, I went into a mode where I found myself being consistent at being inconsistent. I was like, this is the period of time where I was always consistent at being inconsistent. And I was always quick to start something and then shift if my environment didn't feel right. And, I did this from like 2016 until 2019. So let me ask you, you shared your experience, what you were going through. Can you talk to me a little bit about the defining moment that helped you to identify that you were sabotaging your own efforts? Like, how did you know? Because generally it's a subconscious reaction. We tend to not realize that we're doing it until a defining moment, till something happened that helped us to know.
I think my defining moment was when I lost the respect of some peers. Hmm. So that was a defining moment for me, because I don't even think that I thought that they respected me in the first place. Mm-hmm. But it became apparent that they held this view of me that was more than I held for myself. Mm-hmm. And so then that's when I knew, like, yeah, you need to stop. That's not, mm-hmm. You're not going to be successful. You're not going to, reach the goals that you set, mm-hmm. unless you change, your negative mindset. I was super negative. Mm. Like, I was like Chicken Little, like the sky is falling. Yeah. Like I was unbearable to be around, like with basically my self-conspiratorial theories. Mm-hmm. Like the conspiracy that I just thought existed around me, until I was able to let go of these beliefs that I basically created, because I figured out I created them, right?
Mm-hmm. Right.
And
so it was something within you that you just recognized, I'm having a change with my relationships that I didn't experience before. And it was because of that change, I was able to finally grasp or have an understanding that there was something within me that was causing it.
I think that I ended up knowing where I wanted to go and what I wanted to be and what I really wanted to do. Mm-hmm. And I knew that I wouldn't arrive there successfully. I wouldn't arrive there safely, right? Mm-hmm. I wouldn't arrive there believably. Like, no one would believe that I was there because I hadn't changed my mindset. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Like, I talk crazy. Mm. I like, yeah. I was like filterless.
Right. Right.
So, yeah. and it was really unbelievable for what I'm trying to do, what I'm trying to do and what I try to continue to do. Right. Mm-hmm. Right. It was almost, it was almost a contradiction, duplicitous, mm-hmm. So yeah.
Yeah. I think for me, the defining moment that really helped me to identify that I started sabotaging my own efforts was when I had this sense of urgency that came over me. And I think it was like my age. I was like, girl, you are 42 years old with 4 kids. F these people and pursue your dreams. I felt that the behaviors of others was making me move like this. And I felt that if I wanted to have a legacy, to leave for my kids, I can't continue walking in fear. And so it was at that moment, I was like, buckle down, figure out what you want to do and do it. And so I buckled down and I got to work, and I kept thinking that this is my life, never in a day should I have to live in an environment in which I did not espouse. And in that, my spirit said, you know what, girl, I got you. Move forward and create your own adventure.
Because I do believe the universe will conspire to make you successful if you're answering that voice that's speaking to you.
Mm-hmm. Yes. And I did. I just started to follow that. But, it was in this, Tiffany, that I have to share. this other thought. Um, because I'm a firm believer that when you are designed for something, and to go back to what you said, the universe starts to make sure that you get to ultimately live that dream. And I feel like when they know that you're an honest, you're hardworking, you're an individual who possesses a high level of integrity, things will start to work on your behalf in
Mm-hmm.
favor, right?
Mm-hmm.
But, on the flip side of that, I want to share, with our audience today that, yeah, I'm a firm believer that if you start feeling that people are trying to push you off your path, you will know it's your path because not only will your body speak to you, you will have this energy that engulfs your being and says that this is it. There will also be constant interference.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to share with our audience today, when this happens, when this occurs, I challenge you to stay the course. Because
Mm-hmm.
some people are doing it to protect you, but most are doing it for self-serving reasons, more
Mm-hmm.
so because they want what you have, jealousy. But you had shared before, and we have a whole series of t-shirts we hope to get out here soon to everyone. That's their problem, right? That's not yours. That's their problem. And
And
so,
I learned about that's their problem, really like basically not taking ownership in other people's, belief systems about you or whatever it may be. I learned that back in nursing school at Sinclair. I used to have this African American instructor
mm-hmm,
who would say, I'm not, she would say it all the time. And I
mm-hmm,
can't remember her last name, but anyway, she would say, I'm not taking ownership in your problems.
right, right. Well, because
I'm not taking ownership or responsibility for that.
absolutely. Well, because it's a fabricated reaction, based on their fears and insecurities.
Uh-huh.
And I just think that we have to be better at recognizing that and ignore it and continue to, get ready to bulldoze our way forward if we want to be successful.
Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
It's like literally like the noise you can't listen to, which actually I did a little monologue, so to speak, for UCLA when I say about the white noise, like literally like the white
Yeah.
noise.
Yeah, so it's a lot of noise of just people trying to take you off
It's
your path.
just
And it's beautiful that there is a body of, and I call them, how I call them, people who just have a better understanding, and are designed to make sure that your dreams and your aspirations come into fruition. Those are gifts. And when you see and you have and you're surrounded by those type of people, better keep and hold them close. Because in this day and age, it's far and few between. Because I feel like we've gotten lost also, especially in this country. Uh,
uh,
whole idealism of gladiator games. There's got to be a winner, and I'm thinking to myself, what? We all can win. There is enough,
mm-hmm,
right? But to your point, a couple episodes, does people behave in that manner because they fear that there isn't enough,
mm-hmm,
right? They fear that you're going to have something that they want, and it's why you, right? And well, why not me, right?
exactly. We
Yes,
don't ask, we don't ask why enough.
yeah.
Like, why not? Why not me?
Why not me?
But I think I want to go back to your point when you were talking about legacy.
Mhm.
Uh, we don't. That was an important point, not to go over. Just blow past. Is that what legacy are you about? Are you trying to leave?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
But I think we could become lost and we think, which I think why death is so hard for some people is because they don't realize that this opportunity, this experience is impermanent.
Mm-hmm.
And
Mm-hmm.
so, and then when people get towards the end of their life and they haven't lived the life that they want to live, they kind of resent death.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Um,
Yep.
but if you're working and you're practicing daily the type of legacy you want to leave, then I feel like when you're at the end, it's much easier.
Mm-hmm. It is. All right. So, Tiff, how did your environment play within your self-sabotaging efforts? Um, do you feel like there was an element where I know you stated that it was you, but did you feel like your environment played into also why you became the way that you were?
I think that my environment, I think my environment had nothing to do. I don't know necessarily that it had anything to do, but I do know that the environment that I came from, that you came from, that Alex came from, you know, our siblings came from, provided us the way back.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, if we did falter
Mm-hmm.
because of the environment I came from, but
Mm-hmm.
the environment that surrounded me, I don't know necessarily play that part. And I don't want to blame like my faltering like on anyone
Mm-hmm.
because ultimately we have choices, right? Like we make these choices. No one held a gun to my head,
Mm-hmm.
um, played with my psyche, but at the end of the day, no one held a gun to my head for me to again come up with these, a destructive belief that could have ruined me, but didn't. So there was grace, right? Um,
I like that you said that, your home life, what we garnered from, coming back to our base help
yeah,
to gather yourself so that
yeah,
you can get back out and build a better you or create
right.
a better you. And I really like that idea, Tiffany, because I think that when individuals are experiencing, a mental disconnect or, um, a mental lapse of some nature, if you had a very strong base,
Mm-hmm.
that is the best mode of recovery. To
Mm-hmm.
be able just to come back to what strengthened you, what helped you to grow, right?
Right.
And
You remember where you came from, like you were able to reset, reboot.
yes. And
Uh-huh.
I recall doing that. I do recall
Uh-huh.
that when I felt like things were just becoming very bizarre, and I was like, man, this is bizarre. Dude, this is weird. I was starting to also see. I had an element of clairvoyance. I never had that before. I had intuition, but I had the ability to start seeing things that I never saw before, right? I was like literally the bubbly black girl walking around dead. Um, because I never saw the things that I was witnessing or the things that I was experiencing. And I believe that my whole entire experience started to make me doubt, what I was seeing. I was like, what is going on here? But I kept coming back to my base. I kept coming back home to help ground me. I kept saying, come back to your base, come back to what you knew before
Mm-hmm.
to help ground you.
Mm-hmm.
And it was in that coming back here, having an opportunity to just reconnect with people who love me and who were there for me and who were supportive of me, that helped to keep me grounded during this experience. Because I
Mm-hmm.
truly believe because, in the US, we just don't have the understanding of that whole supernatural element.
Mm-hmm.
We tend to try and stay away from it or educate even from a religious perspective that it's bad to engage with supernatural beings, etc.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to keep coming back to base to help me to better understand what I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
And, for me, and, what I had shared earlier in this particular instance, for me, it was my environment. For you, you said it was more of you, but for me, it was my environment. And I even believe, even to this day, it remains to be my environment, my inability to continue to progress. It really stems, I think, from others' fears and their self-serving nature. And as you shared, Tiffany, and going back to what your professor shared, we can't be vested in others' insecurities. So right now for me, I just keep moving forward, all by myself with you as my support, with my mom as my support, with my dad, with my immediate family as my support, and then me as myself serving as my own advocate. you know um, the other thing is I work out a lot and I
Mm-hmm.
meditate on my next move, and just fortunately, when I am ready to move forward, I can do so quickly because this is the only thing in my life. I can do so quickly because it's the only thing within my way, as especially as it relates to my business. um, in terms of fine tuning it, in terms of structuring it, and building the right formula for my business, is me. I would be the only thing in my way if I was not being progressive, right? Um, but let me share now. Now, since my business is service oriented in nature, I do realize that I need to help my future constituents, the individuals that are in my environment, better understand me. I need people to be more comfortable with me and know that I serve with their best interest in mind, which is why I created or birthed this new initiative that you and I are embarking on. Proactive is the way, right? So help me to understand, how are you able to get a handle on it? How are you able to get a handle on everything that occurred within your with self-sabotage?
Support,
Mm-hmm.
self-advocacy,
Mm-hmm.
concepts that you just, threw out there again and just blew by like it was just an understanding that everybody should have, which they don't.
Mm-hmm.
Like, so developing a network, like you said, something really important when you're like, I need to, for my future constituents, for them to understand me so that they know, what center I'm coming from
Mm-hmm.
is a center of service.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So I think I was able to get a handle on things because of support. So, like, I had you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you remember, you purchased my books the last quarter of my nursing school career
Mm-hmm.
because I ran out of scholarship money.
Mm-hmm.
Very few people know I went to Sinclair and didn't pay a dime,
Right.
but I had scholarships, but I did end up running out of scholarship money. Um, uh, I was able to get a handle on it from authentic support. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about, reaching for people, but it were people who entered my path without me even having to ask.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't have to struggle with that. So, and people continuously, positive people,
Mm-hmm.
um, continuously talking to me and believing in me And I know that they were authentic about their beliefs about me, right? Because they will always show up.
Right.
And those who were just there for pretend or just there for information, I don't even know that I know them or think about them anymore. You know what I mean? Like, so, but yeah, that's the way I was able to get a handle on it, was with the proper support, which I don't think people think about. And I
Mm.
think the authors that we have been reading touch on that, is that it's not possible for you to be here alone. That's not the goal.
Mhm.
That's not by design.
Right.
So there is a meaning, there is a reason for you having a support system. You know how you hear people like, I can do it by myself, or I'll just be by myself.
Mhm.
That's not real.
Mhm.
So
Right.
you do need a support system.
Right. No.
And so, because of that, and actually because of all of that,
Mhm.
now I want to be super supportive. And I'm still growing in that area, right? Like,
Right.
even in my own relationship, like, I don't know necessarily that I am as supportive, or I'm still kind of guarded with my feelings.
Right.
Um, and that's unfortunate, because I do believe like I have this potential to love, like with my loyalty, with love would be so amazing.
Mhm.
But there's still some things that like I just can't let go of,
Mhm.
um, that kind of are an interference.
Mhm.
So me wanting to be like super supportive, have this unconditional support. Uh, I got trust issues. Put it that way.
Okay. Yeah. Well, yeah, because when you experience something that negatively impacted you, right?
Uh-huh.
And how you were going through trying to understand what you were going through. Um, yeah, you definitely you and I don't know if is it trust within others or trust within yourself, to make the right decision, or how do you view that trust? Was it
Well,
trust within
well,
yourself?
maybe I don't trust. Well, let's keep it just to myself, right? Because I don't want to blame anyone. I don't want to have that perspective of anyone, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because I mean, you want to be able to trust people. So maybe it's that I don't trust myself enough
Mm-hmm.
to have the appropriate response or reaction if the experience becomes untrustworthy.
Okay.
So
Okay.
I don't, because see, I don't want to give my power away.
Right.
So that's why I don't want to accuse anybody or insert anybody into my experience, because I don't want to give you that power. Because
Mm.
when you start doing that, you're actually giving your power away.
Oh, so true. So
So
true.
that's why when you're like, oh, so
Mm-hmm.
what or who? No, it's definitely not a who.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not putting another person into this, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So back to what you asked me, I think I was able to release, so to speak, by holding strong to my support system, starting to be more aware, being more present for who is showing up for me,
Mm-hmm.
who believes in me, and connecting with them,
Mm-hmm.
and holding, their suggestions
Mm-hmm.
with some value.
Right. Right.
So
Absolutely. I'll say support as well. I truly, and I mean, I shared that earlier. Yeah, definitely the support has definitely helped me to get a handle on things. But I want to talk about this particular podcast. You know, this podcast that we are doing. And I'm so glad that I get to connect with you and do it, because now we kind of have similar backgrounds, right? So I can have an understanding of the world that you live in, etc. But the other element of this um, is I want to now help people. I want to help people who negatively impacted my growth. I want to help people, those who struggle with their insecurities, bad habits, self-sabotaging, and sabotaging mannerisms. I just want to help them to overcome the behaviors that are hindering their growth and the growth of others. I do believe that they feel like they're valid in what they do. They feel that they're out here attempting to do what they think is right, but doing so at the detriment of others,
Oh.
at the detriment of themselves. And I'm just now focusing on strengthening these weak links so that they can walk proudly, so that they can walk confidently in knowing that it is when, we all walk and move together in support of one another. Only then will we be able to succeed as a nation, as a global empire.
Mm-hmm.
Together, I want us to level the playing field,
Mm-hmm.
and provided that we all are working diligently with integrity, understand that we all will have the ability to win. And if you go and you read on www.kinkyknotscafe.com my story, that's how I end my story. I truly believe that there is a space for all of us.
Mm-hmm.
So, to me, I'm working to handle this. I'm working on it now.
Mm-hmm.
This is what Kinky Knots Cafe's proactive is the way is all about. There's just a lot of fear in people who are insecure. And as a result, they are immobilized due to their mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Actions taken based on their mindset. And so my goal is to help release them from the self inflicted chains that bound them
Mm-hmm.
so that they can walk and they can see freely and confidently. And so in order for me to get a handle on this, kind of next phase within my life, where now Kinky Knots Cafe, proactive is the way, needs to grow, I need to strengthen my enemies,
Mm-hmm.
to strengthen the naysayers, because they are operating with a weak and non-progressive mind that not only in the end will be to their demise, it will negatively impact me.
Mm-hmm.
And so my hopes is that I want to get a handle on all of this, by holistically preparing those in which I am designed to guide, so that they themselves can be better guides. They can be strong. They can be secure. They can know that they're validated, because we all can bring something to the table, but we need to know our worth and feel confident in doing so.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And for most, and I would say people of color,
Mm-hmm.
we don't feel validated.
Well,
That's why we don't experience growth. That's why we don't reach higher potentials. When you can look around and see that if we felt validated, right? If we had that kind of support,
mm-hmm.
we would I mean, we would contribute to this, we would contribute globally, I mean, just universally, the contributions we would have, if I had to compare it to someone, would surpass Elon Musk
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
because, they hold him in high esteem. He's this thought leader. He's this amazing, magnificent genius, that
Mm-hmm.
has come up with so many things, selling the future.
Right.
But we will be persons of color if we felt validated. We will be able to do the same things. And you blew past another concept, and I should have written it down. Uh, Dang, that was really important. But I'll go back and look at the recording, and I'll touch on it
in our next.
next week to expound upon that,
Mhm,
because I believe there's some things people should understand a little bit more
mhm,
so that we do remain successful,
mhm.
do reach the highest potential.
Right.
No, before we get out of here, before we go on to before we transform into our next bundle of energy.
Right. Right. And that's a good way to put it. You are absolutely right. Yeah, take that with us um so that we can further progress, no matter where we go and within our next lifetime. Um, Help me to understand if you could look back on your moment of self-sabotage, what do you think you could have done differently
I
in
could,
overcoming that?
I think I could have just believed in myself a little bit more.
Mm-hmm,
Mhm. We oftentimes um, are walking this earth believing more in a path others have designed for us than walking our own path. So I didn't have my own belief system. I had plenty of people telling me, you should do this, you should do that, you shouldn't do this, you shouldn't do that,
mm-hmm,
and that's super confusing.
mm-hmm,
So no grounding. Like I'd
mm-hmm,
have been more grounded. Like the things I have learned over these years about like meditation
mm-hmm,
and like self-help. If I would have knew that then,
mm-hmm,
I think of how much more powerful my experiences could have been. I feel like my experiences have been fragmented even up until this point.
mm-hmm. Right, right.
I was dreaming last night, and I don't dream uh, because I'm at UCLA and I keep starting, stopping.
Mm-hmm,
Um, and I'm doing that right because I'm still with a piece of me likes to live fragmented, right? When I know that that will provide me a sense of completeness
mm-hmm,
because I will have um, reached the top tier of my profession once I obtain my doctorate.
right.
But I was dreaming last night I had a paper due.
Mm-hmm,
And there's all these like little different things that come. I know I don't have no paper due.
mm-hmm,
I woke up 3 or 4 times like I have this paper due for this professor. I couldn't remember his name.
mm-hmm,
I was looking for his phone number. Not kidding you. And I don't ever remember my dreams either. But I remember I was looking for his phone number to text him and tell him my paper would be late.
mm-hmm.
And then I woke up and I was like, you're not even in school. But obviously that dream is telling me that's where you want to be.
Mm-hmm.
You know what my mind does a lot too? Is if something is incomplete, it will not let up reminding me of it until it's complete.
Mm-hmm.
And it is so irritating to me. So like to the point, like so I tell you, I had almost 100 and something labs sitting in my inbox, right? I was like, I'm tired of going home, working. I'm not working from home no more. I don't get paid now. And it has really nothing to do with pay, but I realized what it was doing, me working from home, was burning me out.
Mm-hmm.
Even though I knew that I could, right? Because I have access from anywhere. Like I am going to have to check my charts when we end this call. I
Right.
am going to check my charts. Um, but like I told the nurse before I left work, I was like, I have over 100 and something labs in my inbox. And I was like, and they're not going to get finished. I was like, because I'm not going to experience burnout. I said, that will burn me out if I'm working from home. But I went to work the next day and I didn't stop until that inbox says zero. See,
Mm-hmm.
because I have to make a note for every single lab
Mm-hmm.
that I reconcile.
Right.
But my brain, that's why I ain't been sleeping good for
Mm-hmm.
a whole week. Because
Right.
all I'm doing is those labs. Don't forget about them labs.
Yeah.
Don't forget about, but my brain does that to me. I don't know how strong of a sense other people have with that, but that's even like with an apology. That's even like if I offended someone.
Yeah. Well, yeah, and I think that has to do with your internal system, your moral code that you
Mm,
developed within yourself, right? That desire that you have to live a life that is full of integrity, right? That you have this respect or level of respect for yourself. And because it's something that is within you, you've literally trained yourself from birth up until this point now to always make sure that you you live in completeness. You are making sure that you're doing the things that you need to do,
right.
because you have a role here. You are validated. These are and in order for you to progress and do well and be excellent, live a
Mm,
life of excellence, you have to
right.
get those things done.
Mm-hmm.
No matter how minute they may appear to us, etc.
Mm-hmm.
These are things that you have to do because by design, it's your moral code. It's what you aspire to be defined as.
Mm-hmm.
Say defined, but you aspire to.
Perceived or,
Hmm?
yeah,
Yeah.
perceived or,
Yeah, so I'll say for myself, I want to go back to what you said about, just um being more secure within yourself, right? If I could have done anything different, I think for me, it would have been to tune people out earlier,
mm-hmm.
so that I really could better digest and enjoy the experience in which I was going through.
Mm-hmm.
This whole uh, this whole experience that I went through, um, my spirit guide, it was like my best friend. I enjoyed all that was shown to me, and while there's an element of my spirit guide that is still here, I can feel that he's not as strong. Maybe I shouldn't say that he's not as strong, but maybe he's taken a position that he's more understanding of his.
Why do you think it's a he?
Why do I think it's a he?
Like, what gave you the masculine? Why do you get to attach a masculine title to?
I did. I attached a masculine title because of the nature of the background. I said this has to be a male. It has to not only be a male, it has to be a white male. Um, Not only is he a white male, he's Jewish. And I say that because, yeah, yeah. I say that because of my
Well, that sounds like
understanding.
Jesus.
Mm,
I'm
no, I don't.
just kidding. I'm totally just kidding.
Yeah, I don't think it was Jesus, um, but because of how educated he was around the Torah. And I have all the evidence. I have everything that I experienced, but how I would, write a question. I would go and I would ask questions and he would answer me through the Torah. So I put a gender on it because I was like, this got to be a man. This has to be a man, has to be a white man. Um, and I think he's Jewish. I don't know, but because I never asked what his name was,
Uh-huh.
I just would, ask questions because my goal was not really about him. When this is something that I've shared as well, I feel like a messenger, when they are a messenger or someone comes into your life that is supposed to educate you, we have a very bad habit of revering these sources versus listening to the message. And so I felt like he was designed to help me to better understand God, to better help me understand the Torah, to help me better understand the gospel. He was very well versed in it all, but very, 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 very focused on the Torah. And so I spent a lot of time in the, within the Torah. But anyways, so, but I didn't get to enjoy that experience because of my environment, and so now though I feel like he's there, but right now um he's understanding of his role more effectively and allowing me to live my life. So he's there, he's serving as support, and he's supporting me versus me being him, versus pushing me to be him. Look at my Facebook account. You'll see what I'm talking about. And it's weird because during that moment, he was not overwhelming. But I get a sense that there was a concern that he was stronger than me. Because I was just so vocal and I was really aggressive with what I was witnessing in the world. And, I found myself chastising people for their behavior, because I didn't see. Saul sees. He saw, right? And all that was, all that was occurring to me and through me, unfortunately, I didn't have time to truly enjoy the experience. And, perhaps that was by design. Perhaps that was by design. All right, Tiff. Once again, girl, we be doing a dang on thing.
We trying.
We trying, girl, definitely enjoyed this moment. I do hope our audience has found value in what we have shared here today. Um, you know, well, we won't close, but I just want to make sure that we get to one of our favorite parts of this particular um initiative, and that's our music choices, right?
Yours
So
are way better than mine,
no, you
which I appreciate. I've
girl,
only come up with one because I don't have time to look. And then the way that I come up with like music choices is like an inspiration. I'll just be thinking about something. I'll be like, boom, that's the one.
well, I
Like, so
thought
I
you
have to wait for the inspiration. You up here researching.
I'm a researcher. I told you. I
I,
do
I was supposed to
research.
be too.
Yeah, no, but I knew you was about to come out with some ludicrous or something like that. I was like, watch this girl be like, ludicrous, get out the way. Then I
That's
was
a
reading
good
the
one.
girl, no,
That's
I
a good one.
was reading the lyrics. I was like, she better not come out with ludicrous. That's all I kept saying. I said, this girl better not come and be like, get out the
I am
way.
evolving. I am evolving.
Oh, mommy. Yes, absolutely. But so of course I'll close it for today, and then next week you gonna do some research, right?
I'm gonna be inspired.
We're going to be inspired. All right. But for me, and for this episode, and actually really for the um end of this particular series, I want us to be mindful that when we talk about getting out our own damn way, I want us to have a level of clarity, right? And so I want us to have a level of clarity about who we are, what our motives are, what our intentions are, who do we aspire to be. I want us to become, um, better at knowing and understanding ourselves so that we can be more progressive. And so as I was going through this process, I ran into a song that was by Jimmy Cliff. He's a Jamaican artist.
Mm.
And his song was I Can See Clearly Now. And I know you probably know this song where he says,
I can see clearly now the
that
rain.
is gone. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So, and then he talks about, he's like, I can see all obstacles in my way. Gone are the dark clouds that had me blind. It's going to be bright, right? Um,
Bright, bright,
the,
bright.
yeah, yeah. So I chose this particular song because that's what we're all about. That's what we're trying to help, within ourselves because we have a lot of work. We have a lot of opportunities for growth and development, but also for you as well. And so we want to help you see clearly now and remove all the obstacles that are in your way, remove all those dark clouds so that you can see that bright, sunshiny day. All right, you guys, that's a wrap. So join us in 2 weeks as we continue our conversations about getting out of our own damn way, as we discuss some of the behaviors that hinder our ability to progress and what steps we can take to overcome, by reviewing Brianna Wiest's book, The Mountain Is You. We do look forward to you joining us. And then, of course, in preparation for our discussions, we have included in the description where you can pick up a copy of the book. To access all replays or learn more about Kinky Knots Cafes, Proactive is the Way, please visit www.kinkyknotscafe.com. Proactive is the way, my friends. Take good care.